Hey everyone. My voice almost cracked. Welcome to the watch along. I am going to start very soon. Just want to see if everyone is somewhat in already. I have my headphones on, obviously, so it sounds kind of weird because I'm sound muffled. But um, let me know if you guys can hear me on the chat thing. And my breakfast never came. It's just arrived, so I'm not going to eat it on air. But do have my coffee bean, which will get me through it. Can you guys hear? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Before we start, yeah. I first wanted to comment on a couple things. One of the things that I first wanted to talk about just really quickly was my grandfather, and just today's the day that he passed 2 years ago, and it still stings to this day because I still it's not that I can't believe he's gone. It's still he was such a big presence in our lives, that it just for me it's still so surreal. And I always say use the example of I don't know that my grandma was the sun, and is the sun in the family where we all revolve around her and she gives us our warmth. But my grandfather, he was the one that gave us our strength. And I've never felt more proud when I went to Las Vegas to see him before he passed. He was at the hostel or the hospice, sorry. Um, and just to thank him, you know, I've always been proud to be a Jackson and always been proud of what our family's accomplished, but at the same time, I was very modest about it, and as you should be, and humble. But you know, the crap that he went through, you know, Joe Jackson did, you know, throughout his life in terms of from people. I'm not going to mention the name of a certain celebrity that when he passed, he said "rest in hell," and and family people read that, and we see that, and it's just like it bothered me so much because, especially knowing the relationship my uncle and my grandfather had towards the end of my uncle's life, from the trial on, and here are some strangers that just are looking inwards but not actually there to see that relationship and see how much my uncle, you know, later on in life admired him, and not only admired him, but brought his um, brought his kids up to be close to my grandfather. And so it just those kind of things just really irritate me. But at the same time, I understand the public being upset, or fans being upset, and in the beginning of you know my grandfather was hard on all his boys and girls as well. He didn't care, and I would always not joke to my dad, but I would say, "Oh, grandpa's so nice," and my dad's like, "Well, he calmed down because he wasn't always like that." And it's just you learn tough love, and you only know it from how you were given it in a way. And so I just it's hard because I got to know my grandfather very well over the years, and he's just I will always think of him as amazing. I always will be grateful for him, and I always will. I mean, without him, as I've always said with my grandma, without the two of them, they were, in a way, it's interesting how they connected, because they're so, in some ways, so polar opposites, but the strength that my grandfather had, my uncle Michael 100% couldn't have gotten through half the crap he got through in life if he didn't have that Joe Jackson strength and that resilience. And so I just kind of wanted to start with that. I'm probably going to tweet something. I don't know. If you've noticed about me, I don't usually tweet about people when they've passed on their past day. I did it with my uncle, but I don't try and do that. And I don't know, but I just wanted to kind of mention that it's a interesting day for our family. The 25th obviously was as well, but here we are on the 27th, and it's another day. So you will see family talking about Grandpa Joe, as we called him. He liked to be called the Hawk. And I mean, he was probably the coolest guy I actually ever knew. He very seldomly dropped his, I don't even want to say it was a facade, because I don't even know if it was a facade, but he never dropped his cool level. He was always Joe Jackson. And I don't know. I think that I'm just super appreciative of my grandfather, and I know we all are. And I think that from what this family has had to go through, it's been Joe Jackson's strength that has gotten us through. It's been Catherine's warmth in terms of trying to understand the other side and trying to turn the other cheek, but it's been Joe Jackson's strength that's given us the strength to do that. All right, so I just wanted to kind of quickly go through that before we go through this watch along. And I'm going to maybe take like 5 minutes of questions, and then we'll watch it, and then maybe take 5 more minutes of questions, because I'm still letting people come in. Some people are a little late that I know that wanted to see it, and so I don't want to keep rambling about certain things. But if you do have any questions or whatever, I'm gonna try and get to them. It could be about anything. What did you guys do for the 25th? Did you watch videos of MJ? What did you do? I should consider vegetarianism or veganism. That's, my sister-in-law is vegan, and that's, I see what she has to go through. How did my grandfather feel about Michael? Extremely proud. From day one, extremely proud. My grandfather knew Michael was a gift to the world, a gift that he helped create. And he also knew that he was also a target because of not only his race, but how he broke glass ceilings. And it's one of the things that I always loved about my grandfather. I mean, Don Cornelius from Soul Train says that basically, or he said basically, that Soul Train survived because the Jackson 5 kept coming back, to give it ratings. And it's not the first I've heard of shows surviving because of the Jackson 5, or magazine publication surviving because of putting the Jackson 5s on the covers. I mean, MTV is one of them with Michael. They survived by playing Michael's videos and Michael's participation in MTV, whatever it was. But I just thought that was really cool, that Soul Train story, because Soul Train's a staple of Black music and history. And, when you have Don Cornelius, who's, the godfather of Soul Train, basically saying if it wasn't for the Jackson 5 coming back all the time to give them those ratings, that it would have not survived. And I think that's just amazing to me. And I know that's a testament to my grandfather, Joe, because he was managing the Jackson 5 at that point. And he was all about loyalty. He was all about, he was very proud to be a Black family, and it just, I mean, one of our first appearances were on Soul Train, so as 3T. I mean, not our first appearance will be, when we did Soul Train, I knew we had made it in a way, because it's like this is the same place that so many of our family have done. Would love to see Joe rehearsing The Boys. Is there anything out there? I don't think you would. I mean, I would equate it to probably like a drill sergeant in the army. Like, I mean, he was tough. I told that story about my Uncle Jermaine. With That's How Love Goes, singing the song and playing bass, and I asked him how did you play bass and sing at the same time at the age of 15? And he's like, we had no choice. We had to do it. We had to practice it until we got it right. And there's no margin of error. And so, but that's what made the Jacksons the Jacksons. Someone's asked, did Michael ever scold me? The funny thing is, my uncle was so easygoing on us, like on everyone, on everyone else, he was so easygoing. But then when it came to his kids, he was so strict. Like, they couldn't have sugar, they couldn't have a lot of these things, and we used to laugh at him and tease him about it, because we're like, you gave us everything, we could have anything we wanted, but you're being so strict on your kids. But it was discipline, and he wanted them to be able to appreciate everything, because they were going to have everything in life. Did Grandpa Joe ever give me any precious advice? The most proud I've seen my grandfather, he traveled when we did our 3-2 tour in Europe. He was there. He came with my grandma, and we didn't see it, but my grandma said during the show he started crying, and I know it was from pride. And I've never seen my grandfather cry at all. He's like a rock. He's like a stone. But I can understand it, because he would, every time I would see him, didn't matter, me or my brothers, whoever would see him, it was always, what's going on with 3T? It was always something he was proud of, and he wanted always a legacy to carry on. So, yeah, that was something that I just always thought was amazing. Would Michael be excited about Michael Keaton? And my uncle loved Batman, but he loved the movie Batman, the Tim Burton one, and he loved Michael Keaton in the role, so he would have been very excited about that. I specifically have a memory of him basically saying he loved that. It wasn't like the intro, but it was close to the intro of the movie, where he goes, I'm Batman, and I guess in the original script or cut or whatever, it was, he was supposed to say, I'm Batman MFer or something. And my uncle thought that was so edgy. He was like, it's like, oh, it should have started like that, and I was like, and you would never think stereotypically that that's what Michael Jackson would want, but he loved that edge about Batman in that way. Will Film Family be back? We've talked about it. Of course, I think it will be, once movies start really coming back. But yeah, it's something that we love to do, so I definitely think so. I'm just trying to get. I don't know what my grandfather's favorite song was, unfortunately. I wish I would have asked him, Do I know if Michael used the law of attraction? That's something we'll talk about very soon in this watch along, because I do know the answer to that. And if you've seen the episode, which you're supposed to see, it's pretty obvious. How did my grandfather meet my grandma? I don't know that story. I wish I gotta ask my grandma that story. I don't know that story. My grandma. It's so funny when I talk. Maybe now she'll be more open, but when I used to talk about my grandfather, like ask her question, she would blush. And the most fun thing to see was my grandma and grandpa interacting, him flirting with her and her telling Joe, shut up, Joe, and all that stuff. It was the most amazing thing. Those are great memories that I'll have. Um, do I think my grandfather was too hard on his boys, especially MJ? Well, the thing with my uncle, he was, when you're super sensitive, everything affects you. I've said stories about my uncle would turn on the news and he would see a story and start crying. So I just think my uncle, was at a different level of hurt and pain. It was amped up. But I can tell you that, Michael didn't get picked on any more or less than any of the other brothers. You know, I just think that because he was so sensitive, it hit him hardest, and young, I would say at the same time, because when you're older, you kind of you're tougher about it in that way. But my dad's told stories and shows like that. A lot of the stuff that my grandfather did do was to keep them busy. My dad would say that my grandfather would sometimes make them do stuff that was not needed to do. Like, when I get home, I want these bricks from this side of the yard to be on this side of the yard, and it'd be a pile of bricks. But it was just to keep them busy and to keep them out of the streets. Because Gary, Indiana, at that point, and it still is, but had a very gang problem and drug problem. So, I'm appreciative of my grandfather being tough on them, because they survived not only Gary, Indiana, but they, that toughness and that perfection came from discipline. Yeah, a lot of discipline. And discipline is something that, you learn discipline in that way, just like you learn. Sometimes my voice sounds like tea. It does, because I still am. This is the first time I'm talking today, so my voice is a little lower when I talk. Okay, so yeah, I think that discipline is what got them through everything, but also taught them to be perfectionists, and they were perfectionists. All right, so what time is it? We have like 3 minutes. We'll start. I know we're starting like half hour late on thing, but in like 12:30 we'll start the watch along. That's my daughter. If you hear a baby in the background. Did Michael ever go as himself on Halloween? No, he did not. That was his one day to disguise himself and walk around, and we used to go to Toluca Lake a lot, and that was the spot that we used to go to with him for Halloween. But also, I've told this story, but there was a time during the Havenhurst days when he was living at Havenhurst that me and my brothers had convinced him to go to the mall, but he started disguising himself. And we're like, no, if you go as Michael Jackson, people will think you're a lookalike, and they won't think you're the real Michael Jackson. He's like, I don't think that's going to work. And we're like, no, trust me, you've tried everything else, this will work. And I think we got out of the parking lot into like the first department store and didn't even make it into the mall before people were literally running towards us, and so we had to run out. And so I never questioned him again about disguising himself, because I was 100% convinced that would work. That people would be like, oh, that's a lookalike. Why would Michael dress like Michael? Because at that point he was known for disguises. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it was back then. It was a different time. People did get belt whips. I got the belt. I'm happy I got the belt, to be honest with you, because I have friends that didn't get the belt. And I wouldn't say there's a big difference, but there is a difference. There's a difference in understanding discipline, understanding, Now, is there ways around it? Probably, but I could tell you it was effective, you know. And the funny thing about it was my mom that gave us the belt 99% more than my dad did. My dad didn't do the belt on us. Can I get a shout out for my birthday? Of course, happy birthday, Kathy. Yeah, so I think we should start now. We'll do more questions afterwards. Yeah, because these questions go by like very quickly, so I try and snag the ones that I think. Can you say something in Portuguese? I will in another episode. Got to tune it up a little, especially since now I was put on the spot. Okay. Yes, I did see that, and I do recommend everyone seeing The Man Behind the Dance. It was great, and I saw it when it first came out. Because Lavelle was promoting it and stuff like that. I think anything that really Lavelle was around my uncle a lot, and anything that shows people that really hung out with my uncle and that know him, I think are very powerful. And not only powerful, they're very needed, because the media has tried to portray Michael Jackson as a certain way, and it's like it's a way that's a fabrication to them. Um, it's not who Michael Jackson truly was. Um, okay, so let's do this. Okay, so how I'm going to do this, I still haven't figured out if I can play the videos, on the screen. So I'm not going to do that, because otherwise, then they'll take down the whole video. So what I'm going to do is basically do a countdown, and then we just press play at the same time, like we did last time, and then I'm going to talk about the mission, which is the Amazing Stories episode, season 1, episode 5. Let me take this off because I made the mistake last time of having the banner on while I was talking about Amazing Stories. It was like some Ice Cube question. And so let's take that off. Where's another one? Let's take this off. Yeah, and let's have just that. Amazing Stories, as I said before, is one of those TV shows that Michael really loved, that we watched multiple episodes and multiple times of those episodes. There's one other episode that I specifically remember my uncle watching with us multiple times, and that'll probably be the last one I do with Amazing Stories. And there's no significance to it. He just loved the performances of it, and he loved the idea of it. And these are just memories that I have with him that I'm trying to share with you guys. But the mission was his favorite episode. Season 1, episode 5. It aired on November 3rd, 1985, about 46 minutes. And it stars, a couple people, Kevin Costner being one of them. It was directed by Steven Spielberg, so it has that Spielberg magic. And John Williams did the music, so it has that incredible score as well. And I just love this episode, and you're gonna see why. I mean, you were supposed to watch it, so, but at the same time, I'm gonna talk all through it anyway. So I'm gonna give probably like a 10, 9, 8, 7 countdown. So hold on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And every time I still hear or I still see this intro, it gives me it makes me smile, just because I have such vivid memories of watching this with my uncle. Me and my brothers watching this with my uncle Michael. And real quick, while it's playing, Another Kevin Costner movie that my uncle loved very much was Field of Dreams, which came out in 1989. And because it had a mystical, magical element to it. So here we go. So now The Mission, the title card, starring Kevin Costner. My uncle loved Kevin Costner, Kiefer Sutherland. That was one of the actors that actually, he talked about, and he, I think because at that point Kevin Costner had done some magical stories and stuff like that. So, and I hadn't watched this. I watched it yesterday because I obviously wanted to come prepared, but before yesterday, I hadn't watched it in, I would say, since I watched it with my uncle. So it's been, but I knew, not the beginning, but I knew towards the middle to the end, I knew the whole thing. And I remembered it vividly. I love Spielberg's directing it anyway, but it's just like there's a magic to this episode that I truly do believe only Spielberg could have done this episode. I'm gonna have my coffee too. What I thought interesting about um, Jonathan, the main character in this, is that Jonathan was actually in Back to the Future. Him and another guy in this episode. Jonathan played the guy that's called 3D, the one that had the 3D glasses. That was one of the bullies with Biff in the Back to the Future series. So he's a great actor, and you wouldn't even know that he was in Back to the Future. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm reading some comments as we're going along. Yeah, my daughter was watching the Motown show on Netflix. That's good ear if you heard that. Motown Magic is what it's called. I can't tell you how much I love John Williams' music, period. He's, to me, one of the greatest composers of all time. And if you don't know who John Williams is, please look him up. Your whole childhood / music movie experience has been dictated by this man. I think it's interesting. Hold on, I gotta block someone. Okay, I did block that person that everyone's telling me to block. I'm not even gonna say the name to give them that. What was the other Kevin Costner movie that It was called Field of Dreams. I love how they already they're establishing this camaraderie between everyone and how important Jonathan is to everyone in this crew. I mean, there's not one person that doesn't like this guy. And so as the episode goes along, you understand that any one of those guys would have traded places with him if they could have. And the interesting thing when we would watch these movies or watch these TV shows, my uncle would be watching, but he'd also be watching us just to see how. There's almost, as I've said before, it was almost like he was watching it for the first time again. It was almost like an excitement, of someone giving you chocolate for the first time, or a flavor that you've never had. I hope everyone had seen this because, I mean, I'm going to spoil the heck out of it, but I hope you've seen this episode. If you haven't, I would rewatch the live stream, the watch along later. But this is too good of an episode not to watch, normally. Thank you. I mean, that's the point of this. That's the point of why I'm doing it, because it also makes me feel closer to my uncle. It brings back great memories, but it also I feel closer to him by watching it with you guys as well. Yeah, the cinematography is amazing. Cinematography is amazing. There's something called blocking, which is like also, I mean, it's very hard to block in in a small confined place like an airplane, but every shot is set up in a certain way. And Spielberg knew that film language so well, so he knew how to manipulate the audience through that. The acting's great too. I mean, let's be honest here. No, that's not the one I wanted to click on. Did my uncle know Kevin Costner? Was the person in the? I don't know. I don't know that, and I don't know if he knew Kevin Costner. I think he did. I'm sure there's pictures of him with Kevin Costner. If my uncle liked an actor or an actress, he would call them up personally and tell them how much he admired their performance or whatever, and would try and meet that person. So it wouldn't surprise me. My uncle, he tried to meet everyone that he admired. Yes, he does so much with playing with them. He's the master of manipulation in emotions. It's season 1, someone else. Do I know Sidney Poitier? Yes. Huge legend and admirer, and I know his daughter, Sydney, also named Sydney, very well. One of my close friends. Watching it. Oh, was Jonathan on Young Guns with Kiefer? That's awesome. I didn't know that. I think it's amazing too. Just, I mean, it's 1985, but the way that, the effects or the practicals, I don't know what it is for the airplanes and stuff, very well done, especially for a TV series, you know, like that kind of stuff. Mm. Let's see. You're very welcome. Let's see. Like those kind of things. I mean, I know it's a model, but you could tell Spielberg directed this. Let's see. Okay, we're at the point where Jonathan already got hit, and he's responding now to the captain. With no, and he's got a bloody nose. Let's see, we're at 13 minutes exactly. So we're not even halfway through, which is what's amazing about this episode. And we already know that this man's stuck down here. Let's see. Let me ask you guys a question as well while we're watching this. Uh-oh. My daughter's coming over here. She's this is just, for me, as you said, the blocking and everything, and the acting, but not only acting and the blocking, but it's the pacing of everything. As we're okay, hopefully they'll be able to get him out to. There's no way they're going to be able to get him out now. Sorry, I should be talking more. I'm watching the mastery. Okay. Let me give you a timestamp. 15 minutes and 30 seconds. obviously commercial at that point. Let me ask you this, did you guys know about Amazing Stories ahead of time? I mean, I know I've seen some comments, a lot of you had seen the series before, but is this new to some certain people? Love that. The sound effects drop out and just the music. Just the music. Learning his fate. Yeah. And he sees it too. There it is. Kiefer's performance is incredible. I've always been a fan of Kiefer. I mean, I'm a huge fan of 24, but don't get me started on that. Me and Tara are huge fans of 24, but don't get me started on that. Look at that two shot. Yeah. I mean, Kiefer also, the bully and Stand By Me, so it's like, geez, the range. Timestamp 18:30, so 18 minutes 30 seconds. The touch. I've never seen that with Kiefer Sutherland. I love how Kevin Costner gets more agitated trying to get this out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm watching the cinematography and just the directing. And my daughter's running around. This is all designed to play with your emotion. I mean, and the idea that they make you care for Jonathan. Great acting. I mean, less than 20 minutes ago, we just got introduced to this guy, and we understand how important he is to everyone. Yeah, Taylor in the background. No, it wasn't animated. He was going to do a live action. Uh, you're saying of King Tut? It was supposed to be live action. It was not animated, as far as I knew. Frustration. I love that because he knows he's helpless. Yeah. He just burned his hand for the timestamp. 21:50. The good thing about these kind of like shows and stuff like that, it's like they amp up all the tension. You know, watching it with Tayana yesterday, that was the first time she had seen it. She had no idea what was going to happen, and of course, I didn't tell her, but it was nice to see. All right. Okay, went to commercial kind of thing. We're at 22:55. Look at that shot. I mean, all those actors in there, but it still looks like like a normal shot. It doesn't look like it's forced. Am I going to watch another episode? I might do one last Amazing Stories episode. The hard thing about these is that I like watching them too. You know, even though I saw it yesterday again for the first time, it's like, you know, I feel like I'm watching it more than talking. Is there a list of Michael's favorite? Oh, yeah, Michael's favorite movies. I'm gonna start providing those. That's one of the other things that we'll do is we'll there's a couple of his favorite movies that I would love to talk to you guys about with, you know. Can I react to a short film like Thriller or Bad? I can if you guys want. If you really do want that, I can do that. Um, if you guys aren't, while you're watching this as well, listen. Just like don't even think. Listen to the dialogue. Listen to the music. It's so manipulative. But this is where John Williams excels, because even if you didn't hear the dialogue, something like tension is happening, and it's something that is urgent because of the music. And there's the rip in that look, and the Spielberg was great with the the either the close-ups or the medium close-ups, but it's all the act. If you guys notice, a lot of the acting is with the eyes. Did you and Michael watch movies together? Yeah, plenty of them. Dog Day Afternoon, Sound of Music, West Side Story. I'm not going to mention the rest because some of them are his favorites. Some of those that I said were his favorites. And I want to kind of go through them in a way with you guys of why they were. And what was my uncle's favorite comedy movie? I don't know that answer. I can tell you that we watched the John Landis Kentucky Fried movie. My uncle laughed and laughed about that. I honestly don't remember that movie. I'd have to see it again because there was a bunch of skits and stuff. But I could hear my uncle's laugh by just thinking of that movie. I'm sipping a coffee bean ice blended mocha, which is what someone asked. Okay, we're coming up upon the 30-minute mark. I'll tell you when we hit it. Okay, in 5 seconds, we're going to hit the 30-minute mark and 30-minute mark. Someone asked if I know how to moonwalk. I do, but I had 2 Achilles tendon surgeries on both sides of my feet, and so I don't moonwalk the same way I used to. I was very proud of my moonwalk ability. Now, sorry, I'm watching. This is now the priest. Great shot right there. It's almost like a silhouette. The acting in the range, in terms of just the emotions, only 30 minutes, and we've grown attached to him, and how much these people care about this Jonathan guy. Yeah, the hand shot is going through that hand. I'm going through. Them kind of almost in a way saying their goodbyes, which is sad. Mm. Wow, that's amazing. I didn't even realize it was 35 years ago. Yeah. Showing his ring. We're at the 34 mark. And now. Okay, 34 minutes and 30 seconds. Someone said they have that box set of Amazing Stories. I used to have the box set, but I had it on VHS back in the day. I don't know where. And then here's where he gets the idea. When this scene started happening, my uncle had such a smile on his face as this guy was drawing. Because not only his drawing, it's the music, it's the conviction, the determination, the speed. It's almost like he's made up his mind that he's going to change his fate. Almost like when everyone else had given up, he gained hope, which I really love that idea behind it. And I forgot about this part of it, the tension of this part. I didn't even remember this whole subplot of Static or Kiefer's character thinking about putting him out of his misery as a friend, so that he doesn't, get crushed to death. So now it's ramping up tension of like, Captain EO would be a good watch along to do. I just don't know how to get it. I don't want to do it if I legally can't get it. See, look at the lighting. Just his eyes are lit up. I should say that's the cinematography. There's his wife. Look at that shot. It's just. I don't know if you guys are. I mean, if you actively like look at the screen and stuff like that, this is all manipulation by the director. And there's the lighting again. Music's amping up. We're at the 39-minute now. Down and locked. Great. Masterful directing. Just intercutting hope versus, impending doom. And his eyes staring at the wheels. And the gun. The focus and the belief. Yeah. His eyes don't blink. Yeah, they never showed the plane from the tower at one point. They do show an angle of. My uncle loved this episode because of exactly what it is. It's a magic, unexplained phenomenon that just happened. That one person's belief made it happen, and I truly believe my uncle believed that. I think we're taught at a young age to not believe the potential of what we can do, and we're taught you can't do this, you can't do that, and whether it's a authority figure or school, and he always wanted to instill in us the magic that could happen, the magic that could be without limitations. And so, and someone asked earlier about the power of your mind and all that stuff, and did he believe in law of attraction? 100% he did. That was his secret ingredient. Is he firmly believed that. He believed in what you believe, you shall achieve. I mean, it's been said other ways, but I love the idea that he's in a trance, and he's keeping that trance is what's keeping that up there, and that Kevin Costner's character understands that. He understands that he's in that trance, and that it's that literally it's magic. And I remember with my uncle, the fact that the others can't believe it. But I think the reason why this was my uncle's favorite episode, and the reason he showed it to us so often, was I think us being his nephews, but us being, so close to him, he never wanted us to have limitations. He never wanted us to not believe that we could achieve anything we wanted to achieve, and I think this was just like the other one. The other one we watched was a way for him to. These were kind of lessons to us. This is like kind of by film how we could learn certain things. And I'll never forget this: the slap, that's what the snap out of it, and that everything disappears. I remember when that happened, the first time when that happened, and we saw it, Michael screamed. He's like, he loved that, like that. It was magical. The close-ups of the faces, so Spielberg with the music, and for me, watching these again, just it brings me closer to my uncle, but also, I'm so appreciative of it because I forget, you forget the magic. My uncle was all about the magic. He was all about making people believe and helping people in that way, and the lack of limitations, and we live in such a world now that is so limited and so cynical and negative. And I'm going to stop I don't need to see the credits, but yeah, it went against everything he believed in. And I mean, there's obviously that famous Thriller story where he wrote on his mirror, biggest album of all time. And that was on his bathroom mirror. and I can attest because I saw it plenty of times, and because it was there, and it's just amazing to me because at that point, yes, Off the Wall was a commercial success and success, but biggest album of all time was a milestone that he truly believed, and I don't know. I grew up a different way than a lot of other people do. I don't know why I'm looking at this. I should be looking at you guys. I grew up a different way than other people did in terms of I didn't grow up with limitations. I grew up thinking I could do anything. Um, and my uncle always made us feel that way. Whenever we were around him, whenever we talked to him about certain things, and so I just feel in terms of for you guys as well, always the power of your mind and the power of the law of attraction is extremely important, and it's something that many people is a secret that many people use and all that stuff, but it does work. I mean, it's a lot of people are cynical about it, but I've seen the outcomes of it. I've seen it work, and but I also believe that you can kind of in a way psych yourself from it not working. Let me see if there's any questions. Do probably like 5 to 10 minutes of questions, and then we'll go back to let me turn this off and go to questions again. Did we keep the mirror? No. Oh wait, hold on. View the mic. Short film. Is it possible to view my short film with us? Which short film were you talking about? Let me know what. Do I still dream about my uncle all the time? But it's normal to dream about your uncle. I dream about my mom sometimes. It's normal to dream about them if you're not there. I mean, if they're not here anymore. No, we didn't keep the mirror because he erased it after a little while. So it's not that we didn't keep the mirror; it's just it wasn't there anymore. But I remembered it there for a long period of time. Do I emulate mirror writing? We used to back in the day, in the 3T days. I always tease my brothers, we need to do that more often because it worked for us. And then you get older and you get more cynical, and you learn I should say you learn your limitations. People impose limitations on you, and you start second guessing yourself, and start thinking more negative than positively, and so you kind of are your worst enemy. Who's my favorite filmmaker? It's a good question. I would filmmaker as in director or filmmaker as in just filmmaker. I mean, I would 100% probably say Spielberg up to a certain point. Just a certain era, like he had a certain magic to him. But as a director as well. But there's so many that I've appreciated along the way. Okay, let's see. Sorry, there you go. Did Michael ever? Yes, he did. I mean, Richard Pryor, obviously. Eddie Murphy, as you guys probably know. Who else did we listen to a lot? I don't want to get any of us in trouble, but we used to listen to. I'm gonna have to find that person. There is this album on, or it was an album, a comedy album, and I gotta find out what who it was, but yeah, I mean, Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy were kind of the ones that we listened to with him. But I'm sure Michael loved to laugh, so he'd listen to comedy albums all the time. Michael liked Tim Burton, yes, of course. He liked saw Edward Scissorhands with him. He loved that. and I know he loved the first Batman. So let's see. Do I know if I never asked him what his all-time favorite movie was. I kind of regret not asking him that, but I don't know that. Oh, did I? I'm gonna have to think about that. I know there was, but I think I blocked it out in my memory. Um, that might be a question I might ask my brothers. I never liked seeing my uncle cry. That's why I said I blocked it out, because he was when he cried, it was a vulnerability that. Let's see here. Yeah, MJ and Spielberg are the reason I want to be a filmmaker too, or I am a filmmaker. So I understand that. So thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Always believe in yourself. My uncle would always make sure we knew we could achieve anything we put our minds to. He never was an uncle or a friend that would give you limitations and say you can't do that. All right, let's see here. Where am I? Yes, the Edward Scissorhand movie reminded me a lot of my uncle too. I saw a lot of that in my uncle. So it's interesting when you see certain movies with someone and it reminds you of that person, seeing it through their, it's an interesting kind of phenomenon, but it's just interesting because as you're watching, you're thinking, this is my uncle. This is like kind of what, misunderstood and, just different, because he's different, people don't understand it, but here's this family that does. Do you happen to know how your uncle handled the negative side of being an empath? Like, what did he do to protect his own level? I think he did. I mean, this is just a guess. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, from what I witnessed, he just countered it by, you can counter negativity by positivity, and I think it just the vulnerability. That's why I was saying like the vulnerability in terms of like he seldom watched the news because it was so negative, and he was so susceptible to certain things. Certain things could get to him, and so he kind of tried to avoid them. But then you can't avoid the news. It's, you'll hear it from somewhere or the other. But he tried to shine so bright as in the positive area that I don't, we seldom talked about negative things with him, you know. In general, he just didn't like focusing on that. He always wanted to focus on the positive, or what could he do to make it positive. uh, what are some of the things I would like to say to my uncle if he was around? um it's interesting because I don't really, if he was around me, it was the same stuff that I said when he was around me. So I don't really have regrets in terms of, oh, I wish I would have told my uncle this or that. He knew how me and my brothers felt about him. He knew that we loved him. He knew that we cherished every second we had with him. He knew that we were appreciative of everything he did for us. He knew all that. We told him that, luckily, because I look back, if we hadn't shared that and hadn't said that to him to his face, I probably would regret a lot. I'd probably be like, I wish he would have known how much he meant to us. But we told him right to his face all the time, like, thank you for doing this, and whatever. And I think that our gratitude and appreciation is why we were so close to him and why we connected, because he truly understood that we were around him because we cared about him, not because of who he was, if that makes sense. And I think that's the thing. If you would have stripped everything from Michael Jackson, everything from the music, whatever, me and my brothers loved him to the point where we still could have the most amazing fun time with him without any, I use the word toys, but any of the gadgets, toys, or anything that, being wealthy supplies you. Was Macaulay? Macaulay was an extremely close friend to my uncle. I don't, it's hard to say who Michael Jackson's best friends were. I would say the only one I would consider Michael Jackson's best friend was probably his mom. My grandma. That was the one person he always relied on, counted on, called up when something was wrong. Was his mother. I think his mother was his best friend because his mother was the one that was there for through thick and thin, through the end. I think if you're talking about celebrity best friends, I think Elizabeth Taylor was one, Macaulay was one, Emmanuel Lewis at a certain point was one. There was a bunch of them that were celebrity best friends. Sorry, someone said that. Yes, I did see that, and I might have been guilty of sending that to a couple of friends of mine on text, but I never would post that publicly. But it did make me laugh because it was at a time that I needed to laugh. I needed to. I was so frustrated by what Oprah did. Am I an empath also? I mean, I am. I didn't know what the word was called. I just found out probably 4 or 5 years ago what that meant. I knew I was different. I knew I was, certain things bothered me that didn't bother other people. Certain things, I could sense certain things, feelings and emotions, and it wasn't until I actually saw this article that said, "Are you an empath?" And I was like, "What the heck's an empath?" And I started reading it, and it was like a checklist of 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 exactly things that make me different that no one that was extremely close to me could identify with, and I didn't understand that. Like why people didn't see it my way, or the world my way, or people my way. And so it was kind of a relief, and I knew that I wasn't weird, or I didn't knew I wasn't that the way I was actually um, normal to certain people and all that stuff, and I've embraced it now. And I actually think a lot of MJ fans are empaths because you connected with him through his music or through his message. A lot of you might not even know you're empaths. You just might be sensitive to certain things. It's almost like a channel that you open up and you kind of figure out. And I've noticed that because to understand Michael Jackson in some way, you have to, it's not to love his music. That's a different story. But to love the person, Michael Jackson, you have to open up an empath ability, basically, because you look at the world different, and you look at the world of trying to help people, trying to understand people, and I believe I believe the opposite of empathy is like basically selfishness, which is the opposite of what my uncle was. He was very always his problem was he tried to help the world too much, and I shouldn't say it's a problem. I would do the same thing if I was in his position, but I think that's the thing. Hold on, sorry about that. I think that's the thing, is that he gave and gave and gave, and yeah, I think in some ways it took a lot out of him, but he was definitely willing to do that. But yes, 100% I'm an empath. I know that. I have abilities that's kind of scare me in terms of certain things. Maybe my uncle knew that about me. Maybe that's why we're so close, we're so close, was because he knew that about me. He could sense it in me, and I could sense it in him. Um, but yeah, it's so. Um, but yeah, it can be scary. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I should scare you guys with certain things. I mean, I've I've guessed the future on certain things, and I shouldn't say guess. I kind of knew certain things that I should know, and also know certain things now that I shouldn't know or whatever. And you know, um, yeah. Sorry, I'm being so vague. I don't want to scare anyone, and I also don't want to. Um, but people that are empaths understand what I'm saying. Yeah, it's hard to explain to someone that's not an empath. I tried that with someone close to me who wasn't, and it's not Tiana because Tiana understood right away, but someone that was close to me that didn't understand what an empath was and couldn't understand. My whole life I was just different than that person, and they couldn't understand why I did certain things different ways, and why I cared so much, and why this and that, and why just a bunch of different things that. Yeah, that's one of the good ways that, yeah, as an empath you do understand other emotions very easily, and it's almost like they, no matter how they try and shield it from you, you see the true emotions and the true pain, hurt, sorrow, happiness, whatever you see, because their shield is not strong enough for you not to see it. I always say it's almost like being able to read an aura in a way. You could just sense it. Um, and I can sense people's auras very easily. Like I can sense bad energy when it's close to me, and it actually affects me. It is a gift being an empath, and I'm sorry if people aren't empaths. It's not. It's a gift, and it can be a curse as well, because you are heightened emotionally, but heightened in a way that things affect you differently. A lot of empaths have um, gone. How do I say that in a politically safe way? Have hurt themselves because of the sensitivity aspect of it. What I do for June 25th, um, a live stream, and then yeah, just try to keep myself busy. Always, it's a day that it's just it's a weird day for me. I don't try and relive it at all, but it is a weird day for me. Yeah, I can tell you as an empath, I definitely, you can easily um, get discouraged, and I think people are empaths. They have a certain energy about them that can go, you know, can be used positively or negatively. Yeah, I love Nicole's view. I've been on there often. She's been amazing. I actually started watching her after I did the interview. Me and Brandy did the interview with her. Started watching her, and she's amazing in general. But then I didn't even know she was that big of Michael Jackson fan, and so that was also a plus to know. But yeah, I mean, she's so she studies her stuff, and she knows what she's talking about, and so I'm a fan of Nicole. Um, what do you think made Michael so addicted to the people who were around him? Because my uncle had an energy that made people feel good. Um, he had that a positive energy slash, and it wasn't the stardom. I mean, a lot of people think, oh yeah, because he was a star, because he was Michael Jackson. No, that was the bonus of it. But the fact is that his energy and his light and his aura was so, it had a like a, it almost was like a soothing feeling that when you were around it, it was almost like you felt protected and felt good. I guess it would be like laughing gas or something where you would feel good, or some kind of it, but then once you're off of it or once you're away from him, you would you'd start realizing that it wasn't permanent. It was only when you were around him. And I think that's why certain people like Wade and James, you know, um, their reaction to a lot of this stuff is because they, almost felt like, I don't even want to say ignored. Like you hear their things about Michael said I was going to be this or Michael said I was going to be that, and it's like they're almost um they're upset about being ditched more than they are upset about their fake allegations. Yeah, abandonment, basically. That's what they're angry about, that they were abandoned. But I also believe my uncle felt their energy and understood that at some point or another that they were just leeching off of them. Um, yes, that was the case with our visas as well. My uncle, you know, he couldn't let Gavin die, which is the words he said to me when I asked him why he risked everything to help this guy. And Gavin was had cancer, and Michael knew he could help him and heal him, or knew at least that he could try and do that. And then, unfortunately, once you do something like that and you let someone in, there's other people that try and take advantage of that. And yeah, and that's the thing too, as an empath, James especially. I mean, Wade already knew, but James, like, that's why it's like I've said in the past that I like when I see him on a screen, I just want to throw my shoe at the screen because I can just see it a mile away. But you got to realize there's other people that don't see it and they just don't understand it. Those are the same people that don't understand why someone would do something good for someone without wanting something in return. You know, like, why would Michael be so nice to someone if he didn't want anything in return? It's like they just don't get that. They don't understand that because they're selfish enough to always want something out of something. Um, I think all this, yeah, they did. The Arvisas did take complete advantage. All this is going to come to light, guys. It's as the series that I'm working on suggests. It's like the truth does run marathons. The tide is turning. It's turned already. The media. We never can count on the media to tell the truth and help us in our battle. But we're getting the word out, and that's the most important thing in general. Is the more people we tell, the more people learn the truth. I don't know. I saw that question. I would have to. That's a Grandma Jackson question. So if I remember, I will 100% ask her. Um, I've seen that through the through the MJ channels of like people asking which one it was. I've heard both, so that's why I can't answer. Okay, a couple more. Where are we at? A couple more, and then because I don't want to keep you guys too long. Acumen. I will a little, yeah, definitely. I mean, my uncle that was one thing. He was a business person in terms of, when it came to business, it's like he had a different hat that he would put on. And he was very smart when it came to being a businessman. I think the only thing that he was not smart at was just trusting the wrong people. His ideas were there. He was a visionary, so it wasn't his ideas, it was letting the wrong people into his endeavors. Um, haters are what I would suggest to do with Amazon Prime and stuff is get the word out there and tell people to leave positive reviews. Reviews do matter in that way. So the way you counter it is by leaving positive reviews. And I think everyone, you know, if you've seen Square One and you liked it, need to leave a positive review about it. It helps more than you think it does, especially in the Amazon world, where people do look at the stars and see kind of how it was rated. That the IMDb, same thing, because we're at a disadvantage, you know, especially with the IMDb DB stuff, is that it was started so long ago, and you know the media manipulation did have a bunch of people commenting on it that didn't know the other side or didn't care about the other side. And so I would definitely say with Square One, leave a positive review if you liked it, and tell people why you liked it, you know, in general. Then that helps too, because um, you know, the 1-star reviews, they're not even, they probably didn't even watch it, to be honest. They just wanted to leave a negative review of it. But I can also tell you, someone that's an Amazon user, when you read those 1-star reviews, like I have for other products, if they don't go into why they didn't like it, I kind of dismiss them. I look at more of like, okay, if this person tells me why they liked it, and then this person tells me why they didn't like it, and there's nothing of substance on that, then I lean more towards why they liked it. Um, yeah, and that's the thing that I've noticed, and that's one of the things that they've tried to pin me on a bunch of documentaries. When Liam did his documentary or his thing as well, they said that that was my documentary, or my series, and they're just they're gunning for my thing to be to crucify my thing before it's even out, you know. And I think that's the thing. That's why I've been so cautious and careful, because they want it to fail. They're counting on it to fail, and you know, as soon as it comes out, they are going to try, you know, with pitchforks and everything like that to make it fail. So it has to be so good, and so needed, but also to the point where, you know, they're wasting their time on it. Okay, let's see. I think that, you know, I wish I could punish it. You know, the thing with Wade and James is that they're going to get theirs. You know, it happens, and they will get theirs. You know, I do believe in karma. You know, we saw it this year tremendously, a bunch of karma happening 2020. Um, but they're going to get theirs, and trust me, they're not sleeping well at night, because you know, when you're that kind of, you know, person, I don't see how you could sleep at night. Um, well, I include all the people he should have trusted and say, there'll be a lot of people that he knew that, you know, whether they grew apart or whatever, they'll still, you know, there's a lot of people that have come to his defense that, you know, slowly grew apart from him, but they still, you know of his innocence and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, and those people, depending on who you think they are, you know, I do believe that he should have trusted, you know, but Michael was just, you know, we all do this. You sometimes you let the wrong people in, and unfortunately, when it comes to Michael Jackson, it's magnified. The wrong people, you know, everything can be taken advantage of. Just uh, I'm sorry, I'm just reading this comment. Who is uh series is called The Truth Runs Marathons. I've mentioned that in the past. Where am I at? I get along with all my uncle's children. Always have. They've always been. All my cousins are special to me, but you know, when you've lost someone, you know, I'm protective of them just because they've lost their dad, and it's very similar to me losing my mom. And how I remember how my uncle was there for us, so it's like I always want to be there for them in that way. Uh, you know, the thing with my uncle is that he wanted to trust people because he always tried to see the good in people. He would always say to us, "People are no good, Applehead. People are no good." But then he would never follow that advice. It's almost like he was warning us because everyone kept letting him down. But just like my grandma, you know, in her heart, she always would let people back in. And I don't fault him for that. You know, because I'm similar to that in a certain way. I'd rather be taken advantage of than cold. That's just me. I mean, neither feels good, but that's how I'd rather err on the side of being taken advantage of than err on than be on the side of not letting people into your life. Um, all right, let's see. I'm gonna where are we at? All right, we're gonna stop at two then. I like number even like certain numbers, so we'll do like 8 more minutes of this. And I'm reading these questions, but they're going by so fast. That's why I'm trying to jump. I bet BG's background is Marvel related. I don't know. You mean his screen, his computer screen? I don't know. Uh, I think. I think you know certain people when they were asked certain questions, it was in a climate that it was almost with a gun to their head. You know, I hate to say it that way, but it was. You couldn't say that that's not Michael Jackson. He would never do that because then you were crucified. And so you know, even people that knew him for sure knew that he would never do that. It's like almost everyone had their pitchforks and everyone had, you know, this was a time when people were canceling him or trying to cancel him and the Simpsons episodes and all that stuff. So they know. And the thing is that but it's also the safest answer to say is, you know, well, I'm not so sure, or not even that. You know, leaving it open to whatever. I'd never do that because I know my uncle. You know, I would never do that. And I do think sometimes when you hesitate in anything, um, people take that as a sign of, you know, you think he's guilty. Yeah, I mean, 2005, we saw a lot of people turn their back on my uncle, but it's also, you know, you got to remember there's a lot of people that aren't as strong and uh, as independent as they think they are. And so they'll go with the flow. And if the flow is leaning one way, they'll go that way. And if it's leaning another way, they'll go the other way. And so because they're not secure in their own standing. And so, and I'm not saying this about Bruce, I'm saying this in general with just certain people. I know Bruce's questions up there, so I have to be careful. That wasn't about Bruce. I was reading something about his celebrity friends. Um, and I'm trying to find that question so I can put it up there. But it went by so quickly. But yeah, his celebrity friends have been very most of them have been very quiet in that way. That's why I've always respected people like Chris Tucker and stuff like that that you know are at the forefront of I'm going to show this to Adam because I would love to have Adam on. Adam, I don't know if you guys know who Adam Green is. Adam Green, he's the director creator of this horror franchise called Hatchet. Met Adam. We were both inspiring to be directors back in the day, and I met Adam on MySpace, and I think I was the first one that approached him and told him that I was admiring that this is a guy that put his money where his mouth is and made this horror movie, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And I had no clue he was a huge Michael Jackson fan. So for him, he was excited that I had reached out to him and this and that. And then he invited me to the premiere and didn't think I was going to come. And I did come, and we became friends from that. But Adam is an adamant Michael Jackson defender, supporter, and like 99% of us knows his crap. We have to, the only thing I tell Adam is, he gets a little, he's so frustrated with ignorance that, he's so emotionally tied to, my uncle's legacy in a way, because he knows my uncle's heart. And so, I have to tell him, not screw those people, but don't let those people affect you and all that stuff. But it does affect him and whatever. But I love Adam, Okay, let's see. Yeah, that German documentary was, are you talking about the one that was last year that just came out with the subtitles? Yeah, that was amazing. And it's hard because when you decide to do something like that, you don't know how it's going to turn out. Obviously, the people that approached us, they're two big supporters and fans of my uncle. So I kind of knew that it was in good hands, but at the same time, they weren't the ones doing it. They were just the ones, kind of overseeing it. And but it was a network. Yes, it was, you guys. I didn't want to out you, but but it was like, and it was, and you guys were super. At some points I'd be like, okay, you're a little too defensive on Michael, and whatever, but I understand it. But we are all trying to, I hate the word defend, because we're not defending anyone. We're showing who Michael Jackson was. Defense makes it sound like, like, so, I don't know. There's a certain guiltiness to defense, through our society. It's not that at all. We are showing the real Michael Jackson, who he was, not who the media said he was. And so that's what I loved about the documentary, the German documentary, was that, through through the way it was crafted, but also through the family, it showed a human side of Michael Jackson. And I think that was super important. And the only reason I'm not saying the family's name, because I always mess up the pronunciation of it. And I know who it is because I still keep in contact with them, but you don't want to hear my German. Do I plan on doing premieres? I plan on promoting the heck out of it, like traveling around with it and doing a media circuit, and going around and going on. Yeah, I'm going to do as much promotion as I can on it. Yeah, because otherwise, why do it? Yeah, I did realize that they removed, and that's the thing. Those are the things that bother me more than anything, is when they edit out stuff that are Michael Jackson related, almost like trying to, make his legacy disappear. But That's what we're here for, to remind them. And, as much as they try and take away a statue or take away an episode, you know, we're here to keep his legacy alive. We're here to remind people, through our kids that we teach, our grandchildren or whatever, we teach them who Michael Jackson was and what his heart was like. And that's the most important thing, because that's the longevity. So I don't have a favorite Michael Jackson song. Like, it alters and it changes, and I don't mean to be dismissive, but I can't even fathom to pick one. There's so many for so many different reasons. Yeah, they can't erase history. His history is there, and they can try all they want, and they can try and take things away, but what's your input on the Jason Derulo Shut Up and Dance tribute? Have you seen it? Yes, I have seen it. I don't know if you guys know that Jerry Greenberg, who was the president of MJJ Music, he is one of the people behind that. Jerry's been a loyal supporter of my uncle, from day one, has never faltered. He's been amazing. He lets people know where he stands, and he's always wanted to do something, for my uncle in that way. And so he was one of those people involved in that project. And I'm super appreciative of Jerry for that reason, because he's in that circle where the easiest thing would be to go the other way, and or play it safe and go, well, I just did his record company and blah blah blah. But Jerry knows, and Jerry, don't forget, Wade was one of his artists, with Quo. Jerry knows, he knows the truth. Okay, let's see here. But yeah, and Korean idols love Michael, and that's a funny thing about it in terms of with K-pop. I love, I've seen the Korean idols, and I love, you can see the Michael Jackson influence in a lot of those artists, a lot of the K-pop bands, and I'm so appreciative of it. And I feel like they've been very protective of my uncle's legacy as well, and I'm thankful for that. That's my least favorite Michael Jackson song. That's a great question. I've never thought of the other way around. I know I could come up with one, and it would be someone's favorite song. So that's a thing. And it's not least favorite like I hate it. It's just like there's so many great songs. It's almost like the song that you would listen to the least. I'm trying to get as much questions as I can. Do I think Wade and James will admit to lying? I think if they get caught, they will. I think they've told so many lies and contradicted themselves, but I think the media has to hold them accountable first. They have to put their feet to the fire, and they're not doing that. So as long as they're not doing that, they're going to keep lying and changing their stories, and the media allowed that. The media allowed the Trading Station story to be twisted and changed 3,000 different ways when there's only one truth to it, and that's that it didn't exist when James said it did. Okay. I know I said that. And I think that, I'm reading some of the questions. I think that some of the things that was super important to do. Let me take this off. how do I take this off? Some of the questions that are some of the things that are super important to do is just let's, the way you guys can help me is basically keep spreading the truth. Each day, more and more people learn the truth, and then those people will tell someone else. And so that's always been my goal. That's always been my hope, is that, that one person that you've changed, and it's not even changing their mind, you've enlightened their mind. Basically, that one person, if they're ever with a bunch of friends and they say something, they can go, wait a minute, did you see this? Did you see square one? And you should see that, or they'll be armed with the knowledge and the truth. Yeah, BTS is definitely influenced by MJ, and the funny thing is that I know my uncle would have been a huge fan of BTS, just in terms of their impact, but also the choreography and the style and everything like that. I mean, I can see why people love them, and that's the thing. And they have an incredible fan base. So I know that would have been someone that my uncle would have loved and probably would have collaborated with. There's no question about it. He would have collaborated with them. It would have been one of those things. Yes, they both are. And the funny thing, he probably would have collaborated with both of them. He wasn't like, it wasn't like an either or. It was always like, he didn't never pick sides. It was like that. All right. Michael had a nickname, but that changed. You mean Rubba? It might be Rubba. Applehead, Rubba. We called him Doodoo. Me and my brothers did. I still don't know why we did. I don't know the we just started calling him that, and that's what stuck, and we called him that for many, 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 many years. I can talk to you about some music videos. I was never there. I was there for Captain EO. I was there for Scream. I was there for parts of Moonwalker, specifically when he was being chased by the dogs. And I'm trying to think what other music videos I was there for that I could talk about. But then there's others that I was not there for at all. And so I would be guessing what it was like or whatever. I'm a little jealous on certain ones. Like, Remember the Time would have been a great one to be on. Brandy was on that set, and I was like, or Black or White would have been an incredible one to be on. One of my favorite videos. And if we could find Captain EO legally, I would love to speak on it, because that, so many memories from that. And I love it. Just it has a certain happiness to it. Yeah, you guys definitely. I mean, I don't know if you're following or whatever. Is that following? Yeah, subscribed or whatever. I do post stuff, and there's like a not comment set, community section where I do like let you know, like, hey, I'm gonna do a live stream or blah blah blah. Yeah, Captain E is on YouTube, but I don't know if it's legally. Am I legally allowed to watch it? Oh, okay, someone just sent me illegally. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna see about that, because that's the one thing I know. Why I'm so cautious is because, from one of my other videos that I did, I got a strike from, or almost got a strike from, and I know someone flagged it. That one of the haters flagged it. It wasn't like a music strike where, it's just like copyright strike. It wasn't that at all. It's just one of those. How was BG? I haven't seen BG in a while. I've talked to him. BG loves. BG loves Clone Wars, which is what I haven't finished Clone Wars yet. I was supposed to finish it for him, but I haven't finished it yet. But BG loves this Star Wars TV show called Clone Wars, and so he always checks in on me to see if I finished that. But most recently, we were talking about The Mandalorian. Okay, I think we should get going. Oh yeah, the rules of the Rubberhead Club. Yeah, yeah. Do you remember when you all wrote them? You were there too. Yes. I think, and I have to be sure, I think that was me that wrote those rules. Because I was one of the few that took the Rubberhead Club super serious. Like it's, so I've seen it on the internet, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I wrote those rules. And then showed it to my uncle, and he might have made adjustments to them. But because as I was reading those rules, I'm like, those rules sound like something I would have said and made up. And I usually don't take credit for those kind of things because I don't like if I don't know, I don't know. But I kind of remember me doing that. I haven't talked to my grandma probably in a couple weeks, so I got to figure out. Like people are asking how she's doing, so yeah. I mean, I know from other people she's doing okay, but I haven't checked up on her phone call wise. All right. Yeah, I'm very close to Prince, and he's doing well. Um, I always check up on my cousins to make sure that they're fine. Play a lot of video games with Prince at times, so keep him busy, keep me busy. All right, yeah. I thank you guys so much for this. I'm gonna probably have my breakfast now, and there's some questions I'm purposely ignoring only because I don't know the answer to, and I don't even want to like fumble around it. And it'll take too long for me to answer in the way that I should. But that doesn't mean next time I won't answer it. It just means right now I don't know the answer. Yeah, and I'm super proud of how my uncle raised his kids. They're amazing people and amazing. They grew up to be amazing adults. How I promote my series with the medium, there's always channels that will have you on in that way, especially internationally. That's one of the reasons I went to Holland to do promotion for Square One, was because I knew there's a better chance of Danny getting on TV if I was there, and so I think that's going to be the case with this. There'll definitely be places and channels that'll have when I say media, I mean the American media. That's a little different. But I've started developing relationships with people, and as you see, things are changing in the way in general that certain people are getting casted out of that media because they've had such a stronghold. And I think that by the time the series comes out, that'll even change the dynamics there. So I think we will be welcomed a lot better than we are now. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, and Square One's not on Amazon Prime in Holland yet. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, thank you guys so much. And yeah, I think the next thing I'm just gonna do. Yeah, I'm trying to debate whether I do a watch along again or if I do just a regular live stream or whatever. But yes, that's pretty much it. Kind of mumbling now. And thank you guys for tuning in. And I will catch you next time.